Leaders have changed our world. Leaders become what they are because of their different challenges, backgrounds, and most importantly, their growth. One leader to notice is Jack Welch. Hi, I'm Saley Alcivar.
Hi, I'm Rachel Pungwe.
Hi, I'm Emily Polonsky.
Hi, I'm Jake Greenspoon.
Hi, I'm Rachel Echendu.
We will guide you through the influences, strengths, weaknesses, and overall life of the former CEO of General Electric and the founder of Jack Welch Management Institute. Jack Welch was born to a working-class family that valued sports and education. Playing football, baseball, and hockey led him to be competitive off and on the field. Rachel will tell us more.
He learned an important lesson as a young child from his mother. She said, if you don't know how to lose, you'll never know how to win. If you don't know this, you shouldn't be playing.
Now Rachel, let's not forget that he did explode a factory, but he learned important concepts to celebrate, encourage, explore, and discipline.
Jack Welch had a unique life, but there's more to him.
Yes, Rachel, there is more to him. Jack Welch has had many factors that have influenced his life. When you talk about tipping points, you speak the language of Mr. Welch. The most significant of all, I think Jack Welch himself would agree to, is blowing up a factory the first year he was at GE as a young man in his mid-20s, already causing havoc.
Of course, the end of his career was in sight for him. Jack Welch said, "I was running a little pilot plant. It all exploded, went to hell."
Even his own boss wouldn't claim him. He sent him to the higher-ups in New York. Did he get fired? No. All he got was a Q&A session on what he did wrong and how to learn from that.
The experience was a life changer for him. Now, Mr. Welch cannot be caught kicking anyone in their downtime.
Well, Rachel. At GE, when Mr. Welch started working there, the labs were small and intimate, and the people there were enthusiastic and active, which helped them achieve a lot. At GE, when Mr. Welch started working there, the labs were small and intimate, and the people there were enthusiastic and active, which helped them achieve a lot.
So Mr. Welch would remember that atmosphere and encourage himself to keep the same level of enthusiasm throughout his career.
Now, you may ask what were his primary strengths and weaknesses. Mr. Welch could be described as intense and demanding. His competitive background made him practice tough love within his group, and although it brought out the best in some, it alienated many. One of the many challenges Mr. Welch faced was creating a unified company. As CEO, he had transformed GE into a male-dominated culture which practiced rich reward and harsher penalties. This left no room for women. With this structure, GE would still deliver the bottom line year after year, but in an increasingly global world, GE's top management was too homogeneous.
Another of Jack Welch's weaknesses was his lack of empathy. When he took over at GE, he saw a sputtering company that was headed in a downward spiral. His first move was to eliminate numerous positions and sectors. but that also meant that he was laying off people. Simply put, Welch was more interested in the long term of the company.
This undoubtedly ruined relationships with certain people for him, but Welch was unempathetic. Later on, the company reintroduced some of the business sectors they got rid of. However, if Mr. Welch would have had maybe a little more empathy, he could have saved those sectors and thousands of people's jobs.
Let us all remember, you guys. Jack Welch is well aware of his strengths as a business leader. In areas where he lacked knowledge, he turned to those in his organizations that were knowledgeable.
One of Mr. Welch's biggest strengths is his ability to promote employee engagement. He is known to offer praise, advice, and mentorship to those in his organization. He does this in order to get people excited about their work and for working with GE.
Let us also remember this. In good times or in times of tragedy, Mr. Welch is notorious for leaving handwritten notes for those who need to be encouraged or who need to be uplifted. In an interview he did with Kansas City Business Journal, he described leadership to the sport of curling. He said that it is essential to have leaders out in front of the team.
Many business units were either obsolete or failing, resulting the company to lose money. Taking over a company may seem like a frightening endeavor, but Mr. Jack Welch took control. He set a goal for GE to be an industry leader in whatever they did. If a business was not either number one or number two in an industry, it would be fixed quickly or it would be killed.
Jack Welch understood that removing business units would lay off employees. However, he was able to prioritize and was willing to do what was necessary in the long term for the sake of GE. Longevity is what mattered. Mr. Welch realized that by getting rid of business units which were in the middle of the pack, the weak links and the clunkers could be eliminated. Many of the business units that were eliminated were reintroduced in the years to come. They were initially eliminated to make sure that the company would move in a more positive direction. Now, Saley will help us go further into Mr. Welch's life.
There were arguably several defining moments in Jack Welch's life. The first one that comes to mind was shortly after he took a job at GE being a junior chemical engineer. Shortly after taking the job, Mr. Welch noticed how dysfunctional the company was. He was frustrated with the limited opportunities to grow and overall lack of structure.
You might be asking why he did it. He was fed up and wanted to leave General Electric. His superiors, however, thought extremely highly of Mr. Welch and wanted to push him into a leadership role.
They begged him to stay, and the moment that Mr. Welch decided not to leave GE changed his life. Instead of leaving to get another job being an engineer, Mr. Welch stayed to be promoted.
After being in the position of junior engineer and knowing how frustrating the work could be, he knew exactly what changes he wanted to make as CEO.
Now his personal life was another story.
Yeah, his professional life was incredible. He rose up the ranks at GE, turned GE around into an incredibly successful conglomerate, and then had a severance of almost $500 million. His personal life, however, was not so fortunate. Married 3 times, having an affair on his second wife goes to show that Mr. Welch had some other issues.
He would marry a woman for some time, but then it would end in a messy divorce. He even went so far as to step out on his second wife, which is about as low as one can get.
Next, let's get back to the good of Mr. Welch. Because of Mr. Welch's unique difference from the norm, he was able to become a good leader. He did not fit the stereotype of a GE employee nor a GE executive.
He would change His peers described him as a round peg trying to fit into a square hole. He was too different to be believed successful. This fact became a challenge Mr. Welch fought to overcome.
At the start of Mr. Welch's time as CEO, employees proudly described the company as a supertanker, strong and steady in the water. He, however, wanted it to become a speedboat, easily adaptable to the environment.
In 1998, Mr. Welch realized the effect of his leadership among a spread of people far beyond that of his employees. After being featured in Businessweek magazine in 1998, he began receiving letters from others expressing their admiration of his leadership.
The people writing to him expressed their concerns of organizations trying to change individuals to conform to the company culture. The main theme of inspiration was he never changed himself.
Mr. Welch embraced the fact that he was indeed a round peg among a sea of square pegs. He later phrased it as an opportunity to make heroes out of people who were not obvious. His message to all of his employees was that you don't have to fit a certain stereotype in order to be successful. You can be yourself and accomplish many things, all the while adding your own unique value.
Instead of employees who followed bureaucratic orders, Mr. Welch wanted thousands of passionate and creative, entrepreneurial-minded employees who valued GE's new and improved culture.
Now Jack will give us input about his leadership.
It's all about your team. It's all about the people you put together. It's a lot more than about you. You got to have a team that's adaptable, flexible, agile, and all committed to the same goals. Without question, you want to get every mind that comes through the door into the game. Because you might not be able to predict things, most people can't, but you sure can react to things if you've got everybody on the same page with agility, flexibility, and creativity.
We appreciate you listening to us as we guided you through Jack Welch's life. Thank you.
We hope that you have learned what has made him the successful leader he is today.
As we highlighted events of his life, you can understand Mr. Welch's strengths, weaknesses, and influences.
Let this be an opportunity to learn from him as you all become better leaders.
Be sure to read more on Jack Welch as he continues to play an active role in society as a leader. Thank you again for watching.